bigger, 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 year after freaking year. Enough is enough. Stop ruining our sport. Coach Greg, and today we're going over bodybuilders, and in particular, Iain Valliere, who I used to coach back in the day. Coached him for 3 straight overall wins where he turned IFBB pro. And so what I see in bodybuilding is a major problem, and that is the pursuit of size at all costs. And as Arnold Schwarzenegger puts it, bigger is not always better, and for the most part, it often can make it worse. This year, more than any other year, we've seen bodybuilders who came in bigger but were not at their best. And so one of my favorite bodybuilders, Iain Valliere, I'm gonna go and show you his progress over the years. And so on the left, he's winning an amateur bodybuilding competition. The guy has an incredible Christmas tree, and likely what you notice the most is absolutely crazy strided glutes beyond reason. Perhaps the wildest looking glutes you've ever seen in your life. And remember, this is Iain, who stands approximately 5'9", 5'10", and just a bit over 220 pounds. Notice the detail in the hamstrings. You can see every single muscle. And check out the calves. I hear it all the time. Iain has weak calves. Yeah, it's genetic. He just wasn't blessed with God-given genetics to build up big calves. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I see monstrous, well-developed calves. Clearly, he has great calves. This is Iain in his early 20s, perhaps 22, 23 years of age. And so you're thinking, well, all he has to do is put on more size, and then it'd be great. Why? Why does he need more size? Remember, this is Iain as an amateur with 1 year of coaching with me. And quite literally, the guy has such great genetics, probably could have coached himself and won the whole thing on his own. And so I'm not trying to say that because of me, he looked so great. The guy had an amazing work ethic. He could follow a diet plan. He was very strict with his training. And so he turns pro, competes, and what do the judges say? You need to get bigger, Iain. Add in 10, 20 pounds more muscle, and then you make it to the Olympia. And so what does Iain do? He continues to train, puts on more size, and year after year, he continues to get bigger. But as you continue to get bigger, eventually there comes a point when you have so much size, you begin to lose detail. The quality of the muscle, it just doesn't look the same. And so as you see Iain at the Mr. Olympia, clearly much bigger than he was in the past, but was he in fact better? Well, I certainly think that if you put old Iain against current Iain would blow old Iain out of the water. But should he? Should size be rewarded that much that it's at the expense of conditioning, detail, and symmetry? And so I asked you this question. Look at the 2 photos. Iain on the left in his early days, perhaps 225 pounds, and Iain on the right in his later days, perhaps 265 pounds. Bigger, sure. But which physique would you want? Which physique would you aspire to be? Would you prefer to look like Iain on the left or Iain on the right? I believe that almost everyone would prefer the smaller, more shredded aesthetic Iain over the larger, much more built, more imposing Iain. And so what I believe is the problem is that guys like Iain are told you need to come in bigger, despite the fact that they already look incredible, that they have a physique that most men would only dream of possessing. They're told it's not big enough. You need to get larger. And so what do? They resort to doing anything and everything to increase the size of their body parts. Sometimes that involves site injection oils. For example, synthol or hyaluronic acid. And if you think that most IFBB pros are not using these, well, guess again. Have you not seen suspect-looking shoulders, biceps, quads, calves, and so on? It's been something that's been abused for decades. And one of the side effects of using this is, in fact, nerve damage. You're putting a needle inside of a muscle. What happens if you continue to do this and it goes in the wrong spot and hits a nerve or an artery, vein, and so on? Problems can arise. You're injecting an exogenous substance into your body. Body doesn't like that, and so bad things can potentially happen. And I don't know if this has happened. This is purely speculation. I have no idea. But I do in fact know that a number of competitors are using site injection oils to enlarge various parts of the body. And so let's look at Iain's calves. On the left, a younger Iain has much larger, shredded, amazing-looking calves. On the right, less shredded, smaller, less impressive calves. Clearly still better than most of us, but in comparison to his other body parts, they do appear to be a lot smaller. And so why is that? Could it be due to injections? I don't know. Is it due to an injury? Perhaps. But it's due to something, and I believe that that something is because they are being pushed to get bigger at all costs. And so is it Iain's fault? Of course not. Iain is told by the judges, if you get bigger, you will be rewarded. You will place better. And so what do bodybuilders do year after year? They add on more size and say, I put on 10 pounds this year. I put on 5. I put on 20 pounds. And they compete and they get rewarded. But eventually, they don't continue to get those rewards. And eventually, those physiques, they don't necessarily look better. Bigger, sure. But are they better? Big Ramy came in bigger. But why? He was already the Mr. Olympia champion. Came in bigger, added more size, and placed worse. And in doing so, examine his physique. Notice similar problems that Iain Valliere has. Less lower back development, body parts starting to shrink. And so what exactly is going on? My belief is the problem comes down to the judges. And the judges are perhaps being influenced to always pick the bigger athlete over the smaller one. Look at men's physique over the years. 10 years ago, the guys looked like they worked out, had great muscle shape, symmetry. But compared to today they all look like bodybuilders. And so year after year, the judges keep favoring larger competitors, and eventually they all look like bodybuilders. Look at men's classic physique. Guys, year after year, they continue to get bigger, but they're capped by a certain weight. But because of that, they can only get so large. And so a Chris Bumstead, who's the perfect height, standing over 6'1" tall, can weigh up to 240. And so he cannot continue to get bigger. And so in doing that, it's prevented him from having to resort to what open class bodybuilders do. The use of site enhancement oils, getting too big, GH growth hormone, and so on. And so is there in fact a solution? Well, there are in fact several. One of which would be simply rewarding smaller opponents. Rather than saying, wow, you're so big, I'm giving you first place, look at the quality. Which physique would you want to have? And so rather than simply rewarding the mass monsters, why not reward a guy like Rafael Brandao? He plays 10, sure, it's great. But why not make him in the top 5? Could he not arguably be better than Big Ramy? Of course he can. He has better symmetry, better conditioning, better proportions, and so why didn't he win? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he's not big enough. And so if the judges continually reward size, we're going to continue to have this problem. And so consider this solution. Add another category. Why are the men limited in categories in compared to the females? Females have 5 completely separate categories, as well as the 6th, which is women's fitness. 6 divisions. Men have 4, but technically 3, one of which is the 212, which is simply men's open, but for a height class. And so why don't they add more categories for men? You want smaller, more aesthetic competitors? You add a beach muscle model category. You don't have to be huge. You don't have to look like a bodybuilder. You compete with a decent amount of muscle. Men's open, you have 212 and open. Why not have a height class? Above 5'8", below 5'8". Why are we capping people at a certain weight? Why arbitrarily have a 212 class? Do we even need it? Derek Lunsford wins last year, competes in the open, 2nd place. And so why are there 2 categories judging the exact same thing? And if there are 2 categories for men's open, why do we have 2 categories for men's classic physique? Tall and short. What chance do Terrence Ruffin and Breon have when they're competing against guys over 6 feet tall like Chris Bumstead? And so could they not just add a different category? Or perhaps just say, hey, let's have 2 different kinds of classic physique. We're going to have a larger looking classic physique and a smaller looking classic physique. If you enter this category, we want bigger, larger, real muscular looking classic physique guys like Chris Bumstead or Rafael Brandao. In this classic physique, we want smaller, more aesthetic looking classic physique guys. Guys that are more like models. They're not jacked or huge, more attainable looking physiques. And so why are we limiting the Mr. Olympia to so few categories when many of these categories have far too many guys competing? Classic physique over 50 guys? Why are 50 guys competing at the Olympia in classic physique? There should be no more than 30 max. And so make the standards higher. Fewer people can qualify. Imagine this, only 20 show up in Classic Physique, allows much more time, and you have a different category for Classic Physique. Classic Physique tall, Classic Physique short, or perhaps Classic Physique large and Classic Physique medium. And with the bike race approaching in 45 minutes, it's time to take GO2 Max and Ecti Builder. And that combined with my hardcore great pre-workout going to have me racing harder than last time. And remember, GO2 Max, the main ingredient, NMN, it's been currently banned by the FDA. Why? Well, it works so freaking good now, doesn't it? Human studies, that's right, not animal studies. Human studies show that the stuff works. Unbelievable improvements in cardiovascular endurance, and so I highly recommend get GO2 Max before it's gone. Pre-orders available right now. Click the link in the description. Use code Greg, 10% off. Why do we want the best physiques in the world? To chase size for what? For who? Oh, open is so much more popular than classic. People want to see the freaks. No, they don't. People want to see, guess who? Chris freaking Bumstead. Why? Because he has a better looking physique. He's only 240, 6'1". Yeah, 50 pounds smaller than other guys of his height in open. But so what? Why do you need those extra 50 pounds? For who? A few people that like seeing freaks? A few guys get off, oh wow, look at those testicles. Why does that matter? And so you look in the history of the sport. You go back to Steve Reeves, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, and so on. Did they need to have 300 pounds of muscle to look good? Of course not. And so what did we do? We keep adding categories. There was no classic physique. There was no men's physique back in the day. Why? We didn't need it. Because the bodybuilders, they looked amazing. The Frank Zanes, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, those were the physiques we wanted to achieve. And so the reason we keep adding categories is because we don't like the way the sport has progressed. And so we had classic physique, men's physique, but then we keep rewarding bigger, 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 year after freaking year. Enough is enough. Stop ruining our sport. I want them to stop adding more categories so that they stop screwing up. Eventually, they'll have another category and say, yeah, we're not actually going to just reward mass monsters. And so if they don't listen to me and they don't give the people what they want, and we know what the people want, they want the Chris Bumsteads. They want bodybuilders to weigh what they want, look what they want, be aesthetic, and not abuse PDs and die. That's what people want. But no, we don't want to listen to Coach Greg. We don't want to give the people what they want. They're wrong. After all, Open is $400,000. Classic Physique's only $50,000. That's proof Open's more popular. Is it really? Who has the most followers? Who has the biggest impact on the sport? Who has brought more eyeballs to Olympia than anyone? Chris Bumstead from Classic Physique. And so, yeah, the prize money for Classic Physique should be doubled, tripled, add a zero to it. Should be higher than Men's Open. They should start rewarding the Chris Bumsteads, the Rafael Brandos, the guys with the symmetry, the shape, the proportions. We want more Ramon Dinos from Brazil. We want more Irvs, guys like that the rest of the population would love to look like. We don't all want to look like Big Ramy. There's a small percentage of people that like it. So what? Do they need to be rewarded? Do they need to place first? Does bodybuilding need to be the bigger the better? My answer, no. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. If you want to buy the supplements, code Greg 10% off. Please watch one of the bloops. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IB Pro. Phone consults, coaching plans by me and my team. Cookbooks, training books, the Circle Diet book. You can get it all on my website. Please follow me, check out the websites. And until next time, I'm out to go race.